They're like, I was like, sure, we don't have anything to do. Let's do it. So we did. We waited for about an hour and a half. And William and Harry, Prince Charles, and Camilla were walking the perimeter and introduced themselves. We met the future King of England and his two sons. Yeah. Just because somebody wanted to try something. And that's the amazing thing about studying abroad, is you just try things and you have these incredible experiences. So you're making a wise decision. How many of you studied abroad before? You? Where did you go? Yes. Yeah, I've got a really tough place in my heart. I don't know what my favorite city is. It's either Rome or London for different reasons, but Rome is, you can have Paris, I love Paris, but Rome is the most romantic city. Rome is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So after you do this, put Rome in your bucket. All right. So do you want to talk first, or do you want me to talk first?
I will let you talk.
Okay.
And
then you'll answer questions?
Yes, I figured we would answer some questions, and a lot of times students don't know, like, what are questions for the faculty and what are questions for Stanford Abroad. So yeah. we're here.
Do they have this brochure that you sent to me? No?
No.
Okay.
This itinerary that we've got is still
in work.
It's still in work. It's tentative until it's signed.
Right.
With World Strides, but I mean, I think it's pretty close to what it will be, okay. But
So what I'm telling you today is what we think we're going to do. We're 90% there, right? So this is give you some sense of what's going to happen. Okay. I apologize. We're getting ready to do Pygmalion in here, a studio production of Pygmalion. So everything is a mess. And so I think it's impossible to see the screen, but we'll do the best I can. I'll try to talk to you with great dramatic flair. Because that's what I think they do anyway. All right. So roughly we're looking at approximately 15 to 16 days that we're going to be there. Yeah? Is that fair? Okay. So we fly in, we have a travel day to recover. We fly on May 2nd, have a travel day to recover on the 3rd. And then we arrive in Sydney. The first day that we're there, we're going to do something called the Rocks, it's a walking tour. And honestly, it's really, I don't know much about it, but it's a scenic, gorgeous, amazing Australian thing. A lot of these things we're going to see are just so uniquely Australian that I don't really have anything to compare, which I think is super cool, right? Yeah, so we're going to do this walking tour of the rocks. A lot of these things are going to be things that you can see the native wildlife and those kinds of things as well. A lot of the things we're doing are art galleries, a lot of art galleries, which makes a lot of sense since they're sending a theater professor and a music professor. So that makes perfect sense. That's a joke. Okay. So on the next day, we're doing the Museum of Sydney, which is just a wonderful sort of history of the city of Sydney. And London has one of these, and it's fascinating sort of tracing from Aboriginal life in the beginnings to when it becomes a penal colony and British influence all the way up through today. So it's just a really good way to sort of learn your way around. Then we go to the Opera House for a guided tour, the Sydney Opera House, famous, incredible Sydney Opera House for a guided tour. And then something else outside the Opera House, something to do with this symphony. It would be great. Then the next day we go to Bondi Beach, seawall murals, which is again more of an art thing, but it's an outdoor art thing at Bondi Beach. So that's going to be super cool. If there's anything in here that you're like, oh, I need more information on that, I'll try to explain it, but I'm still learning too, because we just got this a week or two ago. So I'm still Googling the heck out of this stuff to learn it myself. So then we're getting some free days, which is wonderful. And so on May 7th, we have a free day to sort of experience the city. That's where the fun stuff happens. That's the stuff that's like, that's incredible. We all come back that night and talk, and we're like, you did this, and we're all jealous because you did that. And we did something different. Then we go to Blue Mountain, and this is where we get to this is where we get to see like koala bears and junk. Is that right? Supposedly.
Yes, so you do an Aboriginal walkabout.
Yeah. And so we get to see the native wildlife, and there's like kangaroos, wallabies, right? Supposedly, theoretically.
So they did it when the group went in 2020, and I understand it was like an amazing visit. They do the wildlife stuff. They also do some Aboriginal like history and culture activities. It's I think about a couple of hours outside of Sydney, so it's gonna be more like an excursion.
People playing didgeridoo. Sounds much better than that. So this is supposed to be super cool. So this is just then we do the art gallery of New South Wales, and it's actually led by an Indigenous gallery educator, which is super interesting in contemporary art. And there's a workshop, Museum of Contemporary Art. Like I said, it's really great art. So it's a great city for. In fact, all three of the cities that you guys chose this year are amazing art cities. And so that, Buenos Aires is just off the chain in terms of art. Fabulous. So really good day for art on May 9th. And then on May 10th, we're doing the Australian Design Center. Anybody is a interior architecture person? Yeah, that's for you. This is especially chosen just for you. Okay. And then on May, then we go to a performance that night at the City Hall. Yeah, I'm pretty jazzed. Then the next night, we turn right back around and go to a play at the Belvoir Theatre, which is it's a really kind of cutting edge, brand new Australian works. And this is a piece about that kind of long lasting tension between Aboriginal people and that sort of fight over the land and the responsibility to the land as in tension with trying to fit in with the mainstream society. And on paper, this looks like it's going to be an amazing play. So I hope I have picked wisely. But it will certainly be something that will be a great conversation. Okay. Then we go to the White Rabbit Gallery, another art piece, and then the Carriage Works tour, which I really don't know exactly what that is. I will try to find out more, and then we'll let you know. But it sounds fascinating.
And leading up to, so once the program makes enrollment, which I'm 100% sure that it will make enrollment. In fact, I feel like we're probably going to wind up with a waiting list for this program based on the number of applications we have so far. We might even wind up with an art faculty, like an art faculty, if we wind up adding a third faculty because of the number of students. But we will have a meeting with the providers who have organized this itinerary and the faculty. So you will have a chance to really dig into like what each activity is so that you will be well versed before we get there. And also that is sometimes when it happens, when the faculty will say, oh, well, can we do this instead? And there is some flexibility there. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's great. That's good information. And I really haven't involved about teaching part of it because I've been taking people to art galleries literally all over the world. So it's not a problem for me, but that's exciting when we have some new opportunity. Then we go to Black Market Experience, which I'm assuming that this is an open air market. Is that what this is?
I believe
so. So
so.
if you're aware of things like Portobello Market in London or Brixton Market in London, or ever seen My Fair Lady in the Covent Garden market. So that's kind of what this is an open air market. It's just a super cool experience. Okay? Then you get another day off, which is fun. By that time, you will have made a long list of stuff that you want to try to do with your remaining time. And then we do a workshop and on the 16th, and then we go to Hyde Park Barracks, which is another museum. This is more of a historical museum about the city's history and its military history. And then we go to the Royal Botanical Gardens, which is beautiful and gorgeous and amazing, with all the indigenous Australian plants, light plants and stuff like that. So then we're getting close to the end here. We take a trip on Manly Ferry, and then we go to the Manly Art Gallery and Museum, and then we do the Aboriginal Dreamtime Fine Art Gallery. So that's a big art gallery day that day. And then the Cabbage Bay Sculpture Walk, which is another art experience along the beach. And we have a big farewell dinner on the last night, and then we fly back. So I think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be life-changing. Are there any questions that you have for me? Things that you're like, you want me to try to figure out? One of the things I'm going to try to figure out between now and then is if Australian rules football is actually in season. And I may try to go see an Australian rules football game on the off day, just because it's an amazingly brutal sport and I'd like to see it in action. Yeah. Yes.
Did you say the show?
We don't know yet. No, we don't know yet, but yeah. It will be amazing because it's one of the best opera companies in the world. So it could be new work, it could be classic. Yeah.
So it says here that the performance schedule is yet to be released, but it may be the Australian Ballet, and the schedules will be available
That would be true.
prior to departure.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
But we don't know yet.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about working with World Strides too, I don't know if any of you know anyone that went on the C.S. Lewis and Oxford program last year, but they're who we used, and they actually will have an app for you. So after we've had meetings and like we've got all of these details are really drilled down, they will have an app for you where you can access this itinerary yourself on your phone. So that'll be really handy for you to have and to know what you're doing each day and everything. So
They are terrific to work with. We've used them for years. We take a show every 3 years to the Edinburgh Festival, Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, Scotland. And they help us make all the arrangements about it. They do a fabulous job. They are really, really detailed. Yes.
For the flight, will we all fly to Birmingham?
Yeah.
So typically our flights are going to be round trip out of Atlanta. So for Sydney, you actually will fly you don't fly for 2 full days, but because you cross the date line, you arrive 2 days later. But then when you come back, you will arrive back on the same day, even though you fly for almost 24 hours.
Yeah,
It's like a super long flight. I can't recommend compression socks for you enough. Just throwing that out there. I'll say it again when we're closer, but anyway, all that to say, flights out of Atlanta, and then you will have the ability to add a connection from your hometown. We'll give you instructions on how to do that. That will be at your own expense, so that won't be included in the program costs. So yeah, you'll be able to make those adjustments if you're not from Atlanta.
If you are from Birmingham, you'll probably be flying to Atlanta.
Yeah, the faculty fly out of Birmingham always. One thing to keep in mind for Australia is, I don't know if they still have it, but the last time we went to Australia, the flights were on United and there was a nonstop, I believe, out of Dallas. So students flew from Atlanta to Dallas, but for example, if you were, like, let's say you lived in Houston, it made more sense a lot of times to join the group in Dallas. So it may vary a little bit, like you may not, if you connect in, you may not actually connect in to Atlanta. You'll probably connect into the city before the Trans-Pacific flight.
So think about that. You lose 2 days and you get 2 days back. So not only do you get to go to Australia, you get to time travel.
I do think this is our only program that crosses the date line.
Yeah, well,
So, yeah.
yeah, we have one and sold. Right?
Well, it made, just didn't, the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
Speaking of entering Australia, one thing to know and expect is that there is a visa that you have to get to enter Australia as a US citizen. It's not a hard visa to get. It's just something that you fill out online. It's called an ETA visa, but it's not included in your program fee. So you will pay for that separately. You just fill it out online, and our friends at World Strides will tell us what to do when it's time. So.
But if you don't have a passport, you have to apply for it yet. As soon as you find out, you can select fees to apply, because the backlog has been gotten worse and worse and worse. It took me 2 months to get mine just renewed.
I would actually say go ahead and apply for the passport now.
Yeah.
They're good for 10 years. If for some reason you don't wind up going to Sydney, you'll still go somewhere within the next 10 years. So,
Yeah.
But the backlogs have been an issue coming out of COVID. We've had some students have some pretty significant delays in getting theirs. Also, if you have one from when you were a teenager, check it, because those are only good for 5 years instead of 10. So if you got it before you're 16, that, like, you may be like, oh, I'm good, I have it, but then it's actually expired. You will need to have 6 months of validity on your passport beyond May term. So I'm like calendar math. June, July, so it probably needs to be valid pretty much through the end of 2023.
You do it now. They do this thing that it's optional, but you can get what is called a passport card, and you can't use this when you're going through like customs and stuff, but you can use it in airports. And it's super cool. It is your passport basically on a card. Yeah. And you need to be, if you're someplace where you have to show 2 forms of ID, it's just super handy. Any other questions? Yes. That's a very important question. Okay. Typically, this is what I require. Now, I can't speak for Dr. Bell, so I don't know what he's going to require. But my applicant does. I ask them to keep a daily journal, the things that you've seen, and respond to them. And then you will write 2 reviews. And reviews are no more than 1.5 to 2 pages of the opera performance and of the play. Right? And then you'll be in your daily journal responses will be to, I'll tell you to probably respond to 5 pieces of artwork that we see. And what will happen is when we go to these galleries, I'll walk around with you. We'll do a piece and we'll talk about it together, and you can put those conversations into your journal, right? And for me, the best part of this experience is not you doing a bunch of work. The best part of this experience is for you to have this experience. It's the greatest education you can possibly have. So, I just want whatever I assign you needs to be something that just enhances what is the most important. That answer your question? And you'll have time after we get back to get that answer. It won't be due the day you get back and you're all jet lagged. you'll have a week or two to get that. So you need to do the journal thing, and it can be electronic, like if you do iPads or, you know, want to write on your phone, it could be a journal, it could be an electronic journal, it doesn't have to be handwritten. So a lot of people like to just do a moleskin and have it for the rest of their lives and give it to their grandkids about the time sitting.
This is a silly question. What does food look like?
What do they do there?
No, kind of like, how will the food be structured? I know lunch is on us.
Yes.
Will we get patients, like, what will that look like?
A lot of that's going to depend on what we're doing that day, right? So if we're someplace where we're all like, we go to Blue Mountain. I don't know, there's probably like some sort of commissary. So we'll all get together. But on days where we have like a free break between things, and if there's places to go, you're free to just go do that, and we'll have a repack place. And then at night, is that, I don't know, some nights the food is provided, and some nights you're doing
So pretty much all of your breakfasts are included. Breakfastas, as they say in Louisiana.
So if you like Vegemite, do you know what Vegemite is? Yeah, that's what they eat for breakfast. It's gross. It's fermented vegetable paste.
It's
And they
strong.
put it on, do what?
Strong.
Oh, it's like something you would put on ball bearings in your car. It is not good. Yeah, but they love it. But
So you get all of your Vegemite breakfasts included. And on the Blue Mountains excursion, it looks like you'll have a packed deli lunch that's included, and then you have a couple of dinners included. So I would say to plan for the majority of your lunches and most of your dinners would be on, like, you would need to budget for that. I think the good thing is that means you control it, right? Like if you want to eat inexpensively, you can. If you want to go eat steak and lobster, you can.
And Australia's economy is a lot like ours. It's not going to be like, if you go to Tokyo, you have to pay $37 for a Big Mac. It's a little bit of a sticker shock. But Australia's economy and their prices are pretty close to ours, so it shouldn't be overwhelming.
The breakfast is like a continental breakfast at your hotel too. So
So a croissant with vegetables. Good questions.
It's a hotel.
Yeah,
It's, they have a hotel listed in the proposal, but because we haven't made any, so basically we've agreed, like, yes, we will use you World Strides, but we have not officially signed anything or paid any dollars yet. We won't do that until we have our student recruitment finalized. Once we do that, then they will confirm the hotel.
the current hotel, see if I can click through this link. The current hotel that they have listed with the or similar caveat is Sydney Harbor White HA The Rocks. Which looks nice. Usually they'll have your rooms will be shared with but every student should have their own bed. So you'll be shared obviously by gender. So, you may have a suite with 4 students to a suite, each with their own bed. But yeah.
and in case somebody's wondering, is Sydney a safe city? Cities are very, very, very safe city. But I will also say this: any place we go in the world is going to be safer than any city in America. If we took a trip tomorrow to Kiev, it would probably be safer than Birmingham, right? So, or Atlanta, or Nashville. Right? We live in a particularly unsafe country, in case you didn't know. So people are always, is it a safe city? Yeah, compared to where you're sitting right now, yes, it is. It's an absolutely safe city. I guess maybe we went to Tijuana, but Any other questions?
We will also provide you with insurance in case you get sick, or if your feet swell up due to not wearing the suggested compression socks on your 21-hour flight.
You're scaring me. I'm an old man. Am I gonna have a stroke? What is going on?
Compression socks. So that's included in your program fee.
And walk, get up and walk up and down the aisle. Just, yeah. Get up and walk.
I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Oh, I was gonna ask, when will we know, like, what we're, if we're gonna,
Good question. So applications close December 2nd. Right after applications close, we'll compile all of the applicants. We will internally review to make sure that GPAs meet eligibility. You must have a 2.5 GPA. And then we will send the list of students who meet GPA eligibility over to Student Affairs. Student Affairs will review for disciplinary concerns. We don't have access to that information in global engagement, and we don't make that decision. They will send us back a list of any students who might not be approved due to behavioral issues. And then once that's done, we will issue acceptances. We will typically, like, one of the biggest factors that we really weight for the short-term programs is the timestamp of the application. So we'll be using that, and we do consider other factors like GPA. Really, for this program, academic fit, like, everybody needs it. So some of the other programs, it's like, oh, well, are you a public health major? Like, do you need to take public health London? Whereas, like, everybody needs this one. So it's really more about the timestamp of your application. So long as you meet eligibility, we won't be able to take more than 36. We will accept students, and then typically my boss calls it fruit basket turnover. So we will accept a round of students. Students have the choice to either commit to their program or decline their acceptance. Students who decline their acceptance, they can withdraw. They will be charged the $100 application fee, but that's the only penalty. As students decline their acceptance, we will accept more students off of the wait list until we get to the, like, enrollment number of committed students. So I want to have the initial round of acceptances done before I leave for the holiday break. So my holiday break is not the same as your holiday break, right? Y'all are done at like December 9th-ish. I am not. So I think our last day in the office is like the 21st, 20th, 21st. I hope to have acceptances done before then. It all hinges on student affairs though, right? Like, that's the part that's like out of our control. So if they didn't turn around the results as quickly, it might be in early January. But I'm really hoping that the initial round of acceptances will go out before the holiday break. If you are waitlisted in December, don't lose all hope, because it's very possible that over Christmas we have 5 students who decline their acceptance and then a spot opens for you.
Yes. Is there any more? Yes.
I sent an email last week with the cost to everybody who had an application on file at the time. But if you missed that, it's also on the program brochure. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it's there. We were waiting on the updated version of the proposal to come in, because we had added, like, there were a couple of things that got added. So
It is a little more expensive. More expensive than the other. It's just cost is just, you know, going to the other side of that.
yeah, it's like $2,000-ish just for the flight.
As opposed to London's 5 years.
No, London's more.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
700,000. $25 is what I think that's.
The ETA, it varies because of the like exchange rate fluctuation. I would budget. It's between 25 and 50. It's not prohibitively expensive. I just like to mention it because that way it's not a surprise. And it is something that you absolutely have to do. Like you can't, I just, we'll tell you about it again, but after you're accepted and everything, but I just think it's good to mention that's something that a cost that's not included. That's non-optional.
It's completely unfair, but they don't check out disciplinary problems. So you get what you get.
Do I need to put you on that list to send?
You might. Can we probably find something? Any other questions? These are great. Listen, if you have any questions and you just you're dying to know your parents say, why didn't you ask such and such? That's what parents do. Please feel free to email me at any time. If I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer. Like actually, okay.
Also, make sure you show your parents the online program brochure and let them know that you've applied for it and all of those things. We're pretty limited on what we will share with parents too. So like if you get accepted to the program and a guy calls the office and says, hey, I'm Mary's dad and I need to know when she's getting to the airport. Like, I'm not going to tell him because that's your private information. So just make sure. Yeah, so just make sure y'all are sharing that information. We share the information with you, so make sure you're sharing it with anyone who might be helping to fund your experience because they're gonna want to know that information.
No, recommend for like international.
That's a good question. So it really just depends on, I think it depends on your cell phone provider. I have T-Mobile. So it's pretty, like if I was going on this program, it's like $5 a day for an upgraded Wi-Fi, which is cheaper than some other providers like AT&T. I think it's $10 a day, but you can also do a SIM card theoretically as well. Your phone has to be unlocked though. And what that means is that you have to actually own your phone outright. You can't be like paying for it monthly to the phone company as part of your bill. But
another thing, I don't know the answer to this, but a lot of cities that we go to are just naturally wired. You just walk down the street, you've got Wi-Fi. So if you need to get in touch with your parents, FaceTime or whatever, you can FaceTime them from the lobby of the hotel, you can FaceTime them from the museum or whatever. But other countries do Wi-Fi better than we do. Like there are places where it's like a whole city has free Wi-Fi. I don't know the answer to that, Sydney, but I will find out the answer to that.
we would want you to have data to be able to use the Alert Traveler app that we have that helps notify you in case there's any kind of natural disaster or a terrorist event.
Last time they went there, Australia caught fire. Just wild.
They were not exactly where the students were, but yes, they were occurring at the same. Thought that was like the worst thing that was going to happen in 2020. That was like January of 2020.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Actually turned out to be like the police force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was.
Any other questions? For us?
And-
And if you have anything, please just let us know. We have to get back to you as soon as we can. I'm not trying to find the answer to that Wi-Fi question. Wi-Fi only, Sydney is a city.
And once you're accepted to the program, we'll have some pre-departure orientation sessions as well, where we will, we will help you answer those questions specific to your location. But yeah, I think if you have an unlocked phone, you can get a SIM card or you can get an international PIN. You need it.
Thank you both, thank you all, only two of you, I don't know, only two of you. No, thank you all so much for coming and for being interested in this trip, and I hope each and every one of you get all of them to be a lot of fun. So, we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
I just have one question. I applied on the second day open,